The notion of beauty has been soiled. Something that should be, well, beautiful has been made ugly. The concept of beauty has lost its dignity and its preciousness. And I don't like that. I plan today to talk about why community matters so much and the ways in which we can cultivate it. It is especially important, especially necessary when we're in life transitions of all kinds. However, I feel like I need to change the topic today, because today I'm going to talk about how we go so quickly, so habitually, so unconsciously back to comparison in the most insidious and subtle of ways. And when I say we, I mean the collective we. Even those of us who are committed to and believe in and want collaboration over competition and comparison, we still go back habitually if we don't pay attention. And so that's why I'm wanting to talk about this right now, because I think it's so important to bring our awareness and our consciousness to that inclination. But at the source of this is fear. The sense of scarcity, thinking that there's not enough to go around and that we have to compete for everything. We naturally go to this place of there's not enough resources, that if I have something, you can't have it too. Or if you have something, or you're different from the way that I am, then I must be less than. It's all less, more, better, worse, higher, lower. And when I think about beauty in our culture, it's such a complicated relationship. We have to unpack so much pain and divisiveness and separation at the basis of which is scarcity thinking around all things. And beauty is just one of those things. What woman has not been on one side or the other of too much or not enough? What woman hasn't been on one side or the other of better or worse? One side or the other of more or less? Felt some shame for not falling within a narrow definition of what beauty is. That it means that when we're comparing ourselves and each other to that notion and to those expectations, that we almost can't help but be on one side or the other of the comparison of beauty. And that means that maybe they felt not enough. The flip side of the shame of not fitting the cultural definition of beauty is that maybe you fit it so well that you're at risk of losing love of your sisters, at risk of attention, at risk of being compared. And this is the thing I guess I'm trying to get at. It doesn't matter which side of the comparison we're on, we lose. That whole model is damaging and painful to us, regardless of where we are. And my guess is that most women are going to relate to having been, at various different points. It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, you have been somewhere in that position of evaluation and comparison. I'm getting way off the track of what I wanted to talk about. Okay, let me see. I think the point that I'm really trying to make is it doesn't really matter if we're tall or short or dark or light or big boobed or flat or old or young. We have always this comparison thing, and when we come back to that, we lose. If you're perceived of, if you dare to even celebrate, right? If you dare to say, I'm gonna bring my beauty to the world, that's risky too, because you could be called superficial, vain, you could be called too full of yourself, and you could be in danger of making someone else feel less, right? Because we're back into this comparison culture. What that means to me is that beauty and the notion of beauty has been soiled. Ironically, something that should be, well, beautiful has been made ugly. That as soon as we place ourselves in relationship to another where no one wins, the concept of beauty has lost its power and its dignity and its presence and its preciousness. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think that comes from this scarcity. I'm going to call it beauty scarcity. The idea that only one type of beauty or one narrow set of definition can be beautiful. And the idea that if you're beautiful, then I can't be because we're in comparison to each other. The idea that one person's beauty somehow lessens another's. It sullifies the concept and the experience of beauty. Like there's not enough to go around, right? Like yours lessens mine, somehow mine's better than yours. And here's the thing, scarcity thinking is so deep in our culture that we even believe there's a scarcity of truth and that there's a scarcity of right. Like what's true has to be measured against and competed with this other idea. And so when I say it like that, it seems silly, right? It seems like how do we even convince ourselves to think that one thing lessens something else? How do we even like entertain that notion? But the thing is, it's so present in our culture, and we actually live in that context every single day. We live in the idea that if you're right, then I must be wrong, or if I'm wrong, then you must be right. I experienced this recently when I did a dry run of my talk called The Crone Needs New Clothes. And the essential message of that talk is that historically, even though there's been this pain around the physical body and self-image, that when you add in the concept of aging, it gets even more complicated. And so my offering in this talk was to look at the limitation when we think about the concept of older women, how common it is to accept our wisdom, right? Our character and our inner grace and power and beauty. And people recently saying to me, I love older women. I'm not afraid of growing old because I love the idea of being wise. And great. That is so fantastic, and it was not always the case. In some cases, the crone was perceived as this evil, conniving person who was not only ugly, but also witchy in the worst of ways. So I say, yes, great, fantastic that we're understanding and celebrating the inner power. But I want to challenge the notion that as we age, that somehow we need to disassociate from our bodies and from the beauty that is our physical selves. I want to challenge the notion that as we age, we become ugly and unacceptable in some way and in need of covering. The covering, the symbol of the covering and the disassociation from the body is the black robes in the image of the crone. And so in my talk, I suggested that the crone needs new clothes. And what I say is the crone needs colorful clothes. The crone needs sparkling clothes. The crone needs beautiful clothes and fashionable clothes and maybe even revealing clothes. And maybe the crone gets to wear no clothes, right? So when I delivered this talk at my Superpower You live event, a dear friend, a dear friend of mine with whom I consider myself to be linked in the arms with on this journey around artful aging, said, the crone needing new clothes. And Lisa, I say that with all respect, but the fact that the crone needs new clothes. Okay. So I sat with that, and it struck me that on a meta level, this is just more of the same scarcity thinking, right? I fell right back into the scarcity thinking that if what she's saying is true, then what I'm saying must be false. If she understands this concept more deeply, then I must understand it less, or vice versa. So I can't really speak to how she heard my message that had her say that. I have some ideas, and I could probably elaborate on it a little bit because there's so much richness even in her stance about it. She basically said, I've been all these other things when I want to embrace the crone. And I say yes to that too. I say yes. Let's optimize ourselves in all of our capacities. And when we get to the point where our hair turns gray and we get wrinkles, then let's embrace that too. I say, yes, let's embrace aging, and let's put an emphasis on the inner world and on our generosity and our wisdom. And we can celebrate and revel in and express and enjoy and adorn and be present with our bodies too. It's both and. It's always both and. Even though we have this habitual tendency to go immediately back to this culture of comparison and competition that we're so steeped in, and we just go back there so easily where one can't be true and the other also true. I just want to be a stand for that. I want to be a stand for more possibility. So the crone can have the black robes. You can wear them, pull them out of the closet, revel in the fact that what shows is your, your wisdom and your heart. Or put those robes back in the closet and pull out those sparkles, pull out that colorful celebratory clothing and expose yourself in all of your glory and adorn yourself in celebration of your body, regardless of your size, regardless of your color, your age, both and. Because I'm a stand for more possibility. And I'm a stand for more range for all of us. And for more inclusivity. And for more diversity of thought. Oops, my thing just fell down. I'm a stand for more diversity of thought, more diversity of truth, and more beauty diversity. Because I believe the more we can catch ourselves in that tendency, the more we can become aware of our habitual inclination to go so quickly to more or less, right? To better or worse, to right or wrong, to the scarcity of not enough of anything, the scarcity of not enough beauty, not enough truth, and not enough abundance to go around. The more we can celebrate the range that is our radical diversity in all of the traits and all of the things that we have access to. It's a really, really complicated topic. There's so much history, right? There's so much baggage that we all carry around beauty and the physical body, and that we all carry around competition and comparison, that we all carry around, aging and the different stages of our lives and the life transitions that we all go through. And how do we balance the idea of optimizing? How do we optimize for it? And then how do we also accept that which we can't change? And how do we balance those two things? It's so, I just have so many thoughts around it, and there's just so much around it. And I want to hear your thoughts too. See, Patty says that she's happy to say she got rid of her black robes. Yes, beautiful 80-year-old. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being a person who shows what it can be like to be free and fully expressed and beautiful and embodied and honest and authentic. I appreciate you. I'm gathering like-minded people who want to challenge the notion of what the stories are around aging in our culture so we can age artfully. I'd love it if you join me. And I don't think this topic's done for me. I feel like it's constantly evolving, and I don't even have the exact language around it yet. I just see that there's so much emotion that comes up around it for so many people in so many different ways, and so many costs that we pay for the limited thinking around beauty. So I just really want to go for beauty diversity and for the diversity of thought and the diversity of our presence and our experience and our existence in this world. And I want to thank you all for being here, and I so appreciate you. Thank you. I send you big love as always. Thanks for being here.